This week's parsha is the famous story, the dramatic story of Yosef going down to Egypt. He's first loved by his father, hated by his brothers. He gets sold by his brothers to Egypt, thrown in a jail, and then his father cries over him for years. A long dramatic story. Someone pointed out a very interesting thing to me. It's not a question, but an observation. That so many verses of the Torah begin with the letter Vav. And I actually counted in this week's parasha, and it's unprecedented. This week's parasha, there are 112 verses. Every single one of them, other than 9 verses, begin with the letter Vav. Now, Vav in the Hebrew language means and this and that. And it's so prevalent for this week's parsha, because it's such a long, interesting story. And we see the fear, we feel the fear of Yaakov, the brothers, the pain. And then Yosef, as we know, ultimately, when he's taken out of jail, he becomes second in command of Egypt, and he saves the entire world from starvation. And only because of him, the Jewish people survived. And we have to always remember that the entire story of a Jewish people is one long story. We tend to zoom in to our life, and we say, hey, what's going on? Life is so hard. Why is Hashem doing this to me? Why am I struggling in this area and that area? And we have to remember to zoom out and say it's one long story from the moment of creation until the end of time. It's and this happened, and that happened, and this and that. It's all and. It's not small tidbits of stories, but it's one long story. We have to remember that, because when you zoom into one puzzle piece and you see a face with a jagged nose, you may say, hey, that's not fair. When you put it together with the 6,000 pieces, you'll see a beautiful picture. The Torah is teaching us that this is one long story, and especially in this week's parsha, when it seems sad at the beginning, when Yosef is hated by his brothers and sent to Egypt as a slave and thrown into jail, for the larger picture, he was the one that saved the Jewish people. And therefore, always remember, when you have a problem, look, zoom out and recognize that every moment in your life is one long story. Thank you. This week's Shabbos, the Traveling Hasidim will be celebrating a great Shabbos in Rochester, New York. We're looking forward. Good Shabbos.